Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Nate Chatellier, the lead game designer and co-founder of Dicerone, Inc. Dicerone is a hit game of fast-paced card and dice manipulation. His newest expansion, Marvel Dicerone, is already crushing it on Kickstarter. Nate, welcome to the bench. How you doing?
Fantastic to be here, James. Thank you so much for having me.
It is awesome having you here. My gosh, this we're going to get into the campaign in a bit, but you must be very, very happy with the results that we've got thus far. This is crazy.
We are very, very excited. We knew at this point now this is our fourth iteration in the Dicerone ecosystem, and so we knew with the following we have it was going to do well, but we did not expect to fund in 5 minutes or expect the level of, I think we were I don't know, 40 hours or something, and then we had broken $1 million. So that was mind-blowing. It's still mind-blowing. Huge shout out to our fans. Thank you guys for believing in us.
Yeah, you're at, I think it was about $1.5 million US. Canadian, you're almost at $2 million, which is just saying that number, $2 million on a board game, is just crazy.
I agree.
And you still got 10 days to go. And we all know the last 72-hour hockey stick. So I have no doubt this is probably the largest campaign you guys have ever run, right? By the time
For
it's
sure.
done.
Yep.
And
we're this close to passing our previous campaign, which we did 1.7 on US. But I do expect, because we have so much pre-build up, I expect the first 48 to be substantially stronger than the back 48. But nevertheless, this is going to be a very exciting campaign.
Yeah, from what I understand, the math is it's typically your last 72 hours is half of your first day. Is usually what
That sounds about right.
Is the math I hear, right? So regardless, you obviously are very, very happy, and congratulations to you and your team. For people who don't know you, can you tell me a little bit about your background? Like, where'd this come from, right? Like, this is a smash hit, but you started somewhere. Yeah. So, what was your background?
Yeah, we did. I'm a software engineer and a game designer by trade, but digital games. I had no background in board gaming at all. Loved playing them. I think as an adult, I first got into board games with Catan, which totally it was eyes open, like, oh, it's not just Monopoly. There's this whole new world. Yeah. And so I'd always thought it would be fun to make a board game, but was not that experienced in this industry. And then my original partner, Manny Tremblay, who does all the illustrations for the game, he and I worked at another company I was there for 7 years, and we made video games for kids, Disney, Pixar, Nickelodeon, etc., okay. Finding Dory, things like that. And they sadly got laid off. They shut down the gaming division. They laid off 18 of us. And during that time, Manny and I decided, let's make a game. And so while we were playing like crazy, I really didn't want to leave my town. I'm in Spokane, Washington. I love it here, but there's not a lot of opportunities for gamers. And so my wife, bless her heart, took a bunch of extra shifts at the hospital. Meanwhile, Maddie and she'd get home and we're playing with cut up pieces of paper, rolling dice at home. And she's like, you guys need to get a job. It's kind of how she felt. But it worked out.
Oh my gosh. And I just want to acknowledge, for people that are listening to the podcast that aren't seeing, can you describe your outfit here? I think this is
I'm wearing a Doctor Strange costume here in honor of our Doctor Strange hero. He's one of my favorites in the game. I've got this, I don't know if you can see this eye of Agamotto I've got here, and it was fantastic. Halloween recently
when we went live, I had to do it. Or when we connected just before we went live, and I saw the outfit, I'm like, oh my, and he's got the portal behind him too, right? Like that's awesome. So where did the ninja Is it Ninja Geek, or what's the Nerd Ninjas? Where did Nerd Ninjas
Nerd Ninjas, yeah. My general philosophy in life is you find out what you want in life, where you want to be in any area, marriage, family, work, whatever it is. And then you work backwards from there, each small step on the way back. And then if you want it bad enough, then you make 2 or 3 plans on how you want to get there. And I wanted to not leave Spokane, Washington. So I started 2 companies. I started Nerd Ninjas, and we tried, let's kickstart this first game of ours, Dicerone. And if one of them worked, we got to stay here. So I had kind of a backup plan. And I feel extremely fortunate that they actually both worked. So Nerd Ninjas now has the privilege of working with Niantic. I got to do a game design on the game Settlers of Catan, on what that would look. Niantic made Pokemon Go, and so taking a location-based game, mashing it up with Settlers of Catan, what would that look like? And we now have multiple new things in the works with Niantic. Our relationship has gone really well. We're hiring, by the way, plug. I need some artists, some engineers, etc. Check out the website, nerdninjas.com if you're interested. But it's been very, very fun to work that. And soon we will be working on Dicerone Digital as a studio. But we can talk more about that later.
How do you find time to balance? Like this is, I mean, just your Kickstarter alone. I know the amount of time invested in putting something like that together, right? How do you manage that? I know like Elon Musk, right? He's got SpaceX and he's got Tesla and all these. How do you manage?
Guy's crazy.
How do you manage the different companies like this? Like you must be a very busy guy.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was very, very difficult, to be honest. I paid a lot in hours and in life and in home front, and I felt like I was a little bit of a father who wasn't around, and I'm not sure I would ever recommend people do what I did in the beginning. And I'm very grateful. I mean, I can't say enough about my partner, Manny Tremblay, at that time, who worked his tail off. But we knew quickly that this was not sustainable. And so we reached out to Gavin Brown of Roxley Games. And what I love about Roxley is they believe in very, very high quality, the best quality. And that is in Gavin's DNA. Yeah. And it was what we wanted as well. And the first game, I feel like we made the best thing we knew how to. But I knew Gavin could elevate it to a new level from a product design and graphic design perspective. And he did. He surely has. And how that story went, he made kind of a little bit of a snide comment on Facebook at a gaming group that I actually really agreed with. And it was kind of against the grain. And so I reached out to him privately. We started talking. We had run our first Kickstarter and raised about 181 grand at the time. And I said, hey, I really want Roxy to publish it. I want to partner with you. I don't want Roxy just to publish it, actually, but I want to partner with you, bring you in as an equal partner, because I have a 5-year plan for this game. And he kind of laughed and he's like, I don't know, man. And I said, let me drive to Calgary. It was, I don't know, a very long drive from Spokane. And Manny and I are going to road trip up there. We're going to play the game with you and you're going to want to be a part of this. And he was like, you can if you want, but no promises. And his exact words were, and I probably won't join in on this. And I said, okay. So Manny, I said, let's go for it. So we drove up there. We were both pretty broke, frankly. And we met him, and he ended up, obviously, he joined us, and now we're equal partners in Dicerone. And he's been pivotal to allowing us to run this company. We've used a lot of Roxy staff, who's been amazing. Shout out to them. They're incredible. And our team has grown. And that's what allows me to do both companies. Is without that support group, this would never happen.
Got it. So it really is a symbiotic relationship where the two of you are kind of leaning heavily on each other, right?
Absolutely. And we manage, just a little thing I'll say for running a company with partners, that can go good or it can go bad. But for us, it goes really well, I think, for a number of reasons. One is we each have our area. So the game design is my area. Gavin's is product design and graphic design. Manny's is illustration and world building. And we definitely give each other feedback in all of the different areas. But at the end of the day, we trust, here's my thoughts, but Gavin, it's graphic design. So that's your area. You make the final decision. And that kind of trust and respect, it works really well for us.
Yeah, I always hear that respect is kind of the key, right, for good partnerships, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have a strong respect for each other, right? And willingness to want to see each other succeed and do well. And if you have that, then most partnerships will do okay.
I agree.
On this game, so you're nearing in on, I think in total, I was adding up all the different campaigns, and this is just Kickstarter. This doesn't include even outside of Kickstarter, which I'm sure your sales are significant there as well. It looks like it's kind of narrowing in around 5 million in total for the franchise just on Kickstarter by the time this campaign is done. Is that something you kind of visualized going into, like maybe not in the first campaign, but by the time you did the second campaign, did you kind of have the thought that, okay, this is...
Yeah, I did actually on the second campaign. I think on the very first one, our goal was 15 grand, which, to be honest, if that's all we raised, we would have lost money on that campaign. Yeah. We did not know we were doing enough. And after it raised 180, that was just mind blowing. Honestly, I could not believe that it had done that. And then the second campaign, we expected it to do better, but not, I think it was like 760 it raised. I didn't expect that. And then with Adventures, I sure didn't expect 1.7 million, but that's where it did. So did I expect this to go very well? I did, absolutely. And I'm a big 5-year plan kind of guy. Did it exceed my expectations? 100%. It did, and continues to do so.
No, that's super cool. So for people who haven't played Dicerone, can you give us kind of a brief description of what Dicerone is all about?
Yeah. A lot of times reviewers liken it to combat Yahtzee, but I think there's a lot more nuance than that. I wanted a game that was very, very quick to hit the table. You could set it up in 30 seconds flat, literally. You get your hero, I get mine. We both set it up. We're playing in 30 seconds. I think nowadays there's a lot of games I like quite a bit, but it takes so much effort to set these games up and to take these games down that they don't hit my table very often. So I wanted that. I wanted something I could play with people who maybe aren't hardcore gamers. They could feel like they can get in right away and play and still have a great time. But people like myself, who I really love deep strategy and complexity, we can have certain heroes that are more complex. And I like the challenge. It's almost like a handicap in golf. You can play some heroes that are lower complexity and have a really great shot at beating me because I'm playing a hero that is harder to play well in the matchup. And then lastly, I wanted to feel like I am the hero that I'm playing. Mm-hmm. I'm not just kind of moving stuff around. I want to feel like I'm in it, for whoever that is.
And then how did this Marvel relationship come about? Like that's as big as you can get in terms of licensing, right? Where did that come from? Like, and how long were you working on this?
Yeah, for years, it's the truth of it. When I wrote that initial 5-year plan, it was in the end of that was year 5 actually was we were going to run a Marvel version of this game. And it's those kind of things. I like trying things where people laugh at you, frankly. I feel like sign me up, I'm in. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. But that was sort of the plan to begin with. And the reason we picked Marvel is there's a couple things. One, I personally just love Marvel. It was not about cash grab. I am just a fan of the brand. I've been to every single movie that's ever been released in the theater with my wife on a date night. She loves it. I had the privilege of introducing my kids to this. Now that they're old enough, we watched all 22 movies or whatever it is in order with them. They loved it now. Marvel has just meant a lot to me. And the idea of working on Marvel property, A, was already awesome. B, it felt like my childhood dreams of wanting to be these heroes could happen in Dicerone. And C, and this is important to me, and I don't mean offense to any other designers, but it was not just a slapped on skin. It made sense to become Captain Marvel, to become Black Panther, and actually like you feel like you are those heroes. And I knew we could do that, which was not always my experience I get with other Marvel board games.
Can I assume that Doctor Strange is your favorite character? He is.
I love his unique mechanic. Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely timely. There's no doubt about that. So, and then did you just call up Marvel, or like, is this where Roxy came in, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so we actually, it all started out at a convention, and it was Thanos Rising, if you've ever played that game, published by USAopoly. And I just went up to the booth and I said, hey, who made this game, and I want to talk to whoever made this game. And Tony Siribriani was in the booth, and we started talking. I started learning more about the licensing. The op specializes in that kind of a thing. And so we started getting in contact, and I said, hey, I'd love it if you would help us. I have no ins here into Marvel, and we could partner on this game. And it started to look like it was going well. And then sadly, after a while, we couldn't quite get all the agreements worked out. And so then it didn't go well. And then we started talking to Spin Master, still trying to pursue this. And I feel like they did us wrong, frankly, is the truth of it. It was an unfortunate situation that all happened. And then we ended up, at that time, it was perfect timing. The op had called us back and said, hey, we actually want to partner after all. Let's get back together. And so we did. So they already have the existing relationship with Marvel, and we had the privilege of working with many amazing folks at Marvel and the op, including their brand manager, Brian. And so really without the op, none of this would be happening.
Did this start after the first campaign, or this after your second campaign? When did you guys?
After the second.
I was going to say, campaign. Then you have the scale where you can say, okay, they'll probably take the phone call when we're at these kind of numbers, right?
Yeah, the first meeting we ever had with them was in between campaign 2 and 3. And then I think by the time we had launched 3 and we made 1.7 million, it looked like, okay, these guys can actually do this. And it was much more easier to make these things work out. But it was years in the making.
Oh yeah, I can imagine these are not fast processes, right? Like it.
Yeah.
Now with this campaign, there's some cool goodies in here, and the one thing I noticed, and we're going to talk about this in a few moments, is the how clean this page is, right? There's a lot about the IP, right? About the Marvel characters, and you go through each of the player boards, which I think is pretty necessary for this, for people to actually see, okay, this is what, Captain Marvel's player board looks like. This is what, Black Panther, this is Thor's, this is Loki's, and so forth. And seeing what each components are for each of the different things. But there's not a lot of videos on your page.
Right.
You've literally got one video, right, with Rodney Smith with the how to play.
Yeah.
What led to the decision to not, load this with a bunch of reviews, which is, I think, what most people would probably do?
Yeah. There's a number of things that went into that. One of them is just practicality in timing. It's very, very different than working with a licensor, and it presents unique challenges. Normally, if we make our own stuff, like that's it, we make it, it's approved by us, we like it. It's very different when you're working with a brand like Marvel, and the time it takes to get to where things are greenlit and approved. It's a much more complicated process and time-consuming process. And I think it shows. I'm happy with the process, not disparaging that at all, but it is a process. And so everything just took long to do all of this stuff. And so by the time where we were ready to run the campaign, we're kind of running out of time is part of it. And so we had sent out Black Panther and Captain Marvel boxes to many, many different reviewers, some who have already shared now in our updates, some who are still yet to come. But it was exciting. I think we worked it out. Hey, during the campaign, everybody has a mid-campaign lull. That's just a fact. And we knew that we were going to. And so we thought, let's have these videos be posted, go live throughout the middle of the campaign. And hopefully that will help lift the middle of it. So it's not to say that we didn't want video content, but let's roll out the content because we knew already we were going to have a strong first day. Let's help the middle, which is probably going to suffer the most.
Who's responsible for the art? Like, so I imagine the licensor wants to sign off on everything, right? So I'm sure they're signing off on your page. They're signing off on literally everything. Right?
Yes.
Who does the artwork though? Is it your team creating the artwork, or do you utilize their artists?
Yeah, that was one thing that was mandatory to us. As exciting as it was to work on with Marvel, we would not do it actually if Manny Tremblay could not still lead all the illustrations. And I feel like his style, we wanted the style of this to suit the Dicerone ecosystem of style. There's a lot of ways to do Marvel heroes, and we wanted it to be Dicerone Marvel heroes. And so Manny did a whole bunch of concept sketches in our original pitch, and we showed here's his capabilities of artwork. There are some cool heroes that the world may never see. I don't know that he made in the beginning that helped prove we can do this art style. We can do it in a comic book style, but a Dicerone comic book style. And to be honest, it was an easier green light than I expected. I thought it was going to be much more difficult to get that green light, but Manny's very talented at what he does, and so we got an easy green light.
Now, and I know you can't talk too deeply about the license when you're in the middle of a license. Is there the kind of collaboration though where they'll say, okay, like we did here, but for this character, can you change this one thing because it's kind of more aligned with our vision and things like that? Was there a lot of that going back and forth?
Tons of it. In fact, Manny has already scheduled on our Kickstarter. He's going to draw live and do a fun talk with the audience and everything. And he's going to talk about that process in depth more than I'm competent to do so. But what I can say is we had weekly calls, at least with Marvel, and we showed them everything that was made, both from game design and drawings to graphic design to even the ability names, to dice names. I mean, everything you see goes through their approval process. And it's pretty common to get feedback. And a lot of times I'm thankful it was minimal because I feel like we knew what we were aiming for, but it was, hey, you're close, but change this. Sometimes it was, that just doesn't work. Change it, do it again. Or sometimes it was things you wouldn't have thought of, like for Black Panther, the order of which arm is on top of each other. I would have never considered that that's a brand thing. And it's very particular about that. So there's a lot of nuance to it.
That's crazy. I didn't know that either. Wow.
Yeah.
And then on this page, you literally have one pledge, right?
Yeah.
It's one pledge
Yeah.
level. That's it. Now, what was the decision behind that?
Yeah. I still don't know if it's right or wrong, to be
Well,
honest.
obviously it's doing something right because it's one of the largest campaigns I
It's
think there's
working
ever hit
out.
Kickstarter, right?
That's very true. In our past campaigns, we have often offered just an entry pledge effectively, right?
Yeah.
Where you can just get 2 heroes, you want to dip your toes in, see what it's like. That could be an option for you. The vast majority of people, they just want the battle chest anyway, with all 8. And this time around, since we are partnering with the op, they get actually all the rights to run with the retail content, and those smaller boxes are retail content. And we get all the rights to the battle chest, the deluxe edition. So aside from which strategy was right from a biggest business structure, it's how it is actually on this campaign.
Explain what this battle chest is for people watching and listening. What's this all
about? So we have basically 2 hero packs that you could buy in the past, and there were 4 of them. So there was 8 heroes total per season, we called it. The battle chest is effectively the deluxe edition, where all 8 heroes are in this big box. I don't know if you saw the campaign, if you could screen share, or I could.
Yeah, it's on screen. Don't worry.
Okay, good. But this would show very carefully. It's got this character select on the side. I wanted to feel like you could see, I think this was Gavin's idea, but you could see which hero it is just from the side, pick that hero out. Then if you lay the heroes out on the table, you see just their face, their name. It feels like it's a video game, almost character select type thing. And if you don't want all these different heroes, it's a complete, I could grab the Miles Morales box, just his tray, and go to game night with just that. And you can play with just the one that you have. And that's a complete game I have in his little tray. But our goal is fast to the table, fast to pack up. That's the goal.
I think a cool analogy would be like a DVD, like a box set, right? Like where you have a box set with the DVDs in there, and this is kind of like that, but laying kind of down where the DVDs would like kind of slide in the top.
Yep.
And you got the character images on the front, so you can just easily, and they're all color coded. Like, so if you're pulling out your, for lack of a better word, your DVD or your individual character kit, it's color coded, so it's easy to find the ones you're looking for. And then inside the tray, you've got this kind of organization setup. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do. So there's, in fact, in 2 updates back, there's a video we posted of unboxing of one of these trays. But in the tray, we wanted the storage system to be, so we partnered with Game Trays when we first made this, but we wanted the system to do a couple things. 1, each thing has a very obvious compartment for everything. 2 is it would support sleeves. There's a lot of people who definitely want sleeves, and we wanted to make sure that we could support that. 3 is we wanted to make it dynamic and expandable enough that it could fit not just our current line of heroes, but our future line of heroes. And there's room for various, we don't ever want to make the same hero ever. We love when we make a new hero saying, what rules can we break? How can we surprise people with what this hero is capable of that other ones can't? And so there needs to be a little extra room in the tray. So we tried to do that. And then there's the nice touches. So like if you want the cards, you can push down on one corner and they pop up. Same with the dials. The dice have a little ramp, so you can generally drop them kind of sloppy and they sort of slide right into where they're supposed to be. So we did a lot of things to just make it, again, speed, fast to table, fast back.
And you have Thor's hammer is, again, this is unique to the Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, so we generally, Roxley normally does not do Kickstarter exclusives, which I applaud them actually for their attitude, because I've missed Kickstarters in the past and just felt like just because of bad, I never noticed it. Now I miss out on this cool content. So Roxley generally doesn't do that, but they do that no game content exclusives. So what we're doing here is not game content. It's just some fun things. So there's an actual die-cast metal Thor hammer that is a Kickstarter exclusive that you can get. You don't need it to play the game, but it's awesome to have.
That's cool.
And in the game, Thor's hammer bounces around between different enemies. It's really satisfying to have that thing. Same with the Loki cards. We made those as synthetic cards for his illusion cards. It's a very cool mechanic where you can screw with someone else's mind on the other side of the table. They don't need to be synthetic, but it's pretty awesome that they are. The box is numbered. It includes a promo pack for free, but other people could buy that later. So all the things that we do on the Kickstarter, they're either not exclusive if it's game content, or they are exclusive, but it's not game content.
And I think I like the numbering too. It's cool. So you got this limited edition. So you know that you're only one of X number of people that will ever own this, right?
Yep.
which
exactly right.
Which is pretty cool. So where, all these different things you've done with Dicerone, I know on the adventures, you took a little bit of a kind of off the path of what the regular Dicerone was. Do you see more of that happening, or are you going to stick pretty much to the character kind of battle boards?
Yeah, when we did that 5-year plan back in the day, I always knew I play more co-op games than anything else in my life, and part of it is because my son and daughter are now of an age that they'll play with me.
Yeah.
They're 9 and 13, and we love family co-op games in our house all the time. And so co-op games just hit the table more. So I wanted to make a co-op game. I played this through with my kids. We had a blast doing it. They helped me demo in the beginning, and I also wanted a solo game. I know there's a lot of solo gamers out there. And so we intentionally wanted to make a solo and cooperative experience that could use the Dicerone heroes you already have. I didn't want you to have to buy new content, but then you could play them in a brand new way. That was the goal with Dicerone Adventures. And that goal hasn't stopped of what can I allow people to do with content that they already own and get whole brand new experiences with it. And so we're not ready to announce what that means yet, but I'm not done thinking like that. This is a sandbox and we want to play in it.
That's super cool, to be able to say, okay, because obviously you've got a massive audience that now owns this game, right? Owns a character pack or two. And to be able to then say, okay, now here's something else that allows you to utilize these things that you've already invested in. It's almost giving their investment another life, right? So
exactly,
they get tired of it. Exactly, and it's like, well, now I've played that out, but now Dicerone is now giving me something else that allows me to bring these characters back into this universe and play maybe in a different way, which is kind of cool.
That's exactly right.
What's your goal? Is your goal to just stick with Dicerone, or do you have other thoughts of? Obviously, now you've built a platform here, which in a team that works very, very well together. Is there other ideas that you and your partner have for bringing games to market, or kind of what are you guys looking to do?
Yeah, so we founded a new company called Dicerone Inc.
Yeah.
So that company is surrounded around Dicerone, and I'm really inspired when I look at Settlers of Catan. I now know the Toiba family quite well and respect what they've done. They just celebrated their 25th year anniversary, and that game is the strongest it has ever been, 25 years in. Yeah. And I love that. That's inspiring to me, actually. And I feel like the ease, I think people are getting more impatient as time goes on in our world. We want things now, we want things quick. And the ability to play, the 6-hour behemoth session of games is just getting harder to do. And so I feel like Dicerone is going to be around for a long time. And so my hope is over time, we will continue to release both more heroes and more ways to play those heroes. But I also want to just reach new people, frankly. I feel like we're nowhere near reaching the amount of people who would find out that they actually really enjoy this game. And even people who are diehard, I hate dice chucking games, I think there's enough control and mitigation and cards and strategy. It's no surprise that the same person often has won our tournaments. That doesn't happen in a game that's just luck, right? So I think that all comes into play. So we have a long plan for Dicerone, including I'll announce Dicerone Digital is for sure on the roadmap. We definitely want to do more original heroes of our own making. When it comes to will we do more, we have so many questions of will you do license X, that's my favorite license, or why isn't Captain America in the game? I want a Captain America. Can he be here in the future? Maybe. The truth is we don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. We're gonna see how this goes. And the most important thing is Dicerone was a passion project. I want it to always be a passion project. At the point that I'm not passionate about what I'm making, it'll show. I don't want to be there. I don't want to do it. Games outside of Dicerone, I think we'll probably all continue to make, but it won't be in the confines of Dicerone Inc. I'm working on some more digital stuff right now in my other company, Nerd Ninjas. Manny's made some other designs. Gavin continues. They just launched Radlands, released not that long ago. So we'll all do it, but I don't know if we'll do it together. We'll see.
Creating a franchise is like catching lightning in a bottle, right? It is.
I feel very lucky.
Yeah, you are in amongst a select few. Right. And to have a franchise like this that has, quite frankly, a lot of legs is like amazing. And, I want to congratulate you guys on that. I just think it is
Thank you.
so incredible what you guys have been able to achieve. If people want to follow along with Dicerone, even past this campaign and really just kind of be up to date on what's going on every time you guys launch something new, maybe they have character packs and they want to hear the next big thing coming. How best do they do that?
Thanks for asking. We have, so we certainly have our newsletter. If you go to nerdninjas.com, you can sign up there. We have our Facebook group, our Discord group, but really the heart and soul of what we do, and of course, Board Game Geek, but the heart and soul is actually our community group on Facebook, which you can search up Dicerone Community or go to community.dicerone.com. But we actually love engaging directly with our fans. Kind of our mission in the very beginning was we want to, as much as we're able, we want to be transparent, honest, connect with people. I don't want to feel like I'm ever above my fans. I want to be in it with my fans. And that's where that happens.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Nate, if anybody wants to check out this campaign, I encourage them to do so. The page looks awesome. I mean, who's not a Marvel fan? So you've got Dicerone fans, you've got Marvel fans, you got this just perfect kind of sandwich we're making here. And if they want to follow along, I'll also have in the show notes a link directly to the Kickstarter page. Of course, if you just type in Dicerone on Kickstarter, you can find it easily there. Check it out. If it's something you think you're going to love playing, throw these guys some dollars and back the game. Nate, I want to thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much, James, for having me. It was a pleasure.
You take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply join the Facebook group Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.